Welcome to the Balance Blueprint, everybody. We have two special guests over here. I'm going to introduce also Kjar Fisher. He's sitting in for Stacy Leah Day today. Appreciate you coming, Kjar.
You're welcome.
Thank you, buddy. Jason Winkler, our co-host over here, looking all fly in his orange sunglasses. I love it. Yeah, this is great. We have Tanner over here. Tanner is, I believe, a director. He directed a great documentary about the gentleman that is sitting to my left or right, depending on, of course, what you guys see. This is Ben, Kjar, and we have Tanner. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys so much, man.
We're so grateful to be here.
And there's this kind of came into fruition with Kjar calling me. And it was an unexpected scenario that happened, and I appreciate that phone call so much, Kjar.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we watched a beautiful documentary last night, and there was ups and downs, and I just absolutely loved it. There was tear jerkers. You guys put together, Tanner, you put together a great concept, and Ben, I want to thank you for that too, for being open for it, for that documentary. Let's talk about it. First off, let's talk about your life. Let's talk about the beginning stages. I don't want to ruin anything of what's going on with the documentary because I want to keep it exciting. But just give us a brief synopsis on why you did it and for what reasons that it came to surface this year. Because I know that you've had some secrets and stuff and that you felt secretive through your life. What made you embrace it?
It was in 2011. Just graduated college, poor college student, came out and was thinking about, what do I do now? The Olympics were the next year in London. It was a wrestling Olympics, right? And it was a summer games, and I had mentors tell me, they're like, why don't you do the Olympics? I'm like, oh man. Prayed about it, thought, you know what? Let's do it. I'm ready. I'm coming right out of training. Had some success, became Utah Valley University's first ever All-American. Was like, let's roll. I didn't have the money though. Luckily, my wife, she was there. She's like, babe, I got us. Let's just fundraise a little bit of money. Let's go. Long story short, my mentors came to me and says, Ben, the Olympics is way more than a sport. It's about the story behind the sport. I'm like, wow. If you want to fundraise money to do this full time, you have to tell your story. And that's where I drew the line. I'm like, I've been hiding this thing the majority of my life. I don't want to tell the difference. I've been trying to stay away from the difference. I just wanted to be normal. I wanted to fit in. And they said, that's where you're wrong, Ben. People who are different in life make a difference. And I'm like, and fighting, I stepped in front. My very first time, this was a life changer for me. I stood in front of my junior high cafeteria and spoke. During lunch, people were throwing fries. I didn't think anybody was listening. And I tell my story. And I'll never forget, right after, a little Gothic girl gets up and comes to me. And I saw her sitting alone and just eating, head down, never even knew that she was listening. And she came up and she said, I just want to know, as she looked up with dark eyeliner, and she just said, I just want to know you came here and you spoke to me today. That was it, man.
I love that. That's amazing. That was it, huh?
That was a life changer.
Just a life changer. Life changer for you as well and her. Which is great. Let's go to the past. I want to go back, okay? Because, being fourth place at the Olympics, we're going to talk about that too as well.
In the Olympic trials.
Trials, right? And that was just such an accomplishment. I want to go back a little bit when you were younger. Let's go through that. Let's get the spark of why you wanted to choose wrestling as your sport. Because I know that mom and dad put you in a whole different, all different types of sports and trying to figure it out. And because of the fact, of course, whatever doctors say, they just say it, okay? And it's not something that you feel. It's not something your parents feel because they don't understand. But I want to see where that barrier was broken. So let's talk about that barrier that was broke when it came down to you being young and then understanding what you liked and what you enjoyed.
Dude, that's so good. When I was young, I was born with something called Crouzon syndrome. It's a facial difference. It was something I couldn't control. I think in life, men in general just want to be able to take hold of something and control it. Wrestling was that thing. I didn't have to. I played contact sports. I played team sports. Beautiful. But in wrestling, you don't have to bet on a quarterback or a receiver to catch a ball or a tight end to really hold a block for you. It's me, bro.
Yeah.
It's me, and if I want to be somebody, if I want to be a standout, I choose to be disobedient to average. What does that mean? When the cadence of my coach says 20 push-ups, 20 push-ups, 20 push-ups, if I want to be average, if I want to be normal, which I wanted to be a lot of my life, I just wanted to fit in. Finally, I chose, screw that. I ain't born to be normal. I ain't born to be average. I'm literally born to stand out. So why don't you do it?
Yeah.
So what does disobedient to average mean? When my cadence told me of my coach's 20 push-ups, yeah, maybe for someone average, but what about the gold medalist? What about the guy on the podium? He ain't doing 20. And so it was 25. It was 30. It was always to be disobedient to that thing of what average would become. And we ain't born to be average, so we do more.
I love that. I love that, really. That's it. Yeah, it was. And to see what you went through, too, in wrestling also, because it wasn't something that was right off the bat easy for you. And I think that was a living proof of how hard you pushed. And, of course, I would say focusing on the people that were significant in your life at that time, like your brother, and looking up to your brother. And then knowing that you had a family that was providing you a service, too, that you didn't even know about. And I think that's just a beautiful essence and giving you that confidence and reassurance. So you jumped in with your brother, of course, going into tournaments, right? And then so you started this tournament mode, and I think understanding that and understanding something that you were going into that you actually loved for supporting yourself. So let's jump into that first tournament that you did and talk about that and how fruitful it was for you and how you engaged in that so much. And I think you were like 9, you're 9 to 10?
Yeah, just a little bit younger than that. I just got done with my first surgery a little bit before that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could do it. Coaches or doctors told me, no contact sports, contact sports. And my parents held me back for a while, trusting that these doctors would know what they were doing. Eventually, my parents, and this is a message for all the parents out there, if you're going to live and if you're going to obey the laws of the land per se, or the laws of what people tell you to do, they are padded. And there are reasons behind that for sometimes their own protection. I think oftentimes we get to break the laws of what people put on top of us for our protection to say, dude, I'm looking at fear in the eye and I'm spitting twice to see how it reacts, and then we're freaking going.
Yeah.
So you tell me what my limitations are, I'm going to say, freaking watch me, and then I'll tell you what my limitations are. But at that age, you say, well, what happened in that first tournament? At that age, I didn't know what I could do. I'd never been tested. It was like my first time coming out. Like, I don't know, can I do this? Everyone's saying I can't do this. Literally, physically, medically, this is not good for you. Well, then what was the freaking surgery for? I thought you put metal in my face. I should be like RoboCop now, bro. Come on. Watch out.
Right.
It was interesting because I think in life, guys, if you're watching this, whatever part of the world you're on, if you feel like you can't, like my coaches often would say, never give up, never give up. Sometimes you just don't feel like you can never give up. If you're coming out of an addiction, out of you're coming off of whatever, a divorce or a death, you're not going to feel like you can never give up. So I just made one goal. In a two-man sport, maybe it wasn't that I would never give up, because I think everyone has some breaking point. I made the goal that what if I was just willing to give up second? That was it. What if I was willing, yeah, maybe I could never give up, but what if I was willing to just do one more spin than the other guy? In life, sometimes it's that. Sometimes it's just one more spin, one more breath, one more turn, one more shot. I don't know what it is, but I was willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
And that led me to something totally different.
Yeah.
So you knew you just had to outwork people to get ahead. I mean, that's what your mentality was.
Just one more.
One more.
Dude, just one more.
one more than anybody
If he
else.
spinned right, what if I just did it one more?
Yeah.
Not forever, not for 10 minutes. Just
one
one
more
more,
time.
bro. If the person next to me just did one more push-up and I knew they were struggling, what if I just did one more? That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
It's a good mentality to have.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, to watch somebody as passionate as you are on the mat. I wrestled, a little bit, nothing in your caliber, and the understanding of the will to win and to push it to the limit, bro. You have it, dude. You have it, and I want to acknowledge that. And anybody that's out there that is going to be watching this gentleman on the documentary, you'll understand it later on from what we're talking about.
This is quite possibly the best doc I've ever seen.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to shovel up too much, man. But it's a top tenner.
Kudos, brother.
It's a top tenner, and I mean, really, Tanner. Let's get into Tanner real quick too, as well,
Yeah,
because you
I
guys
love
are.
that.
It's a great team. Tanner, what was your vision?
Man, we so I knew Ben. I grew up with Ben. We grew up in the same town.
Okay.
And while we weren't like good friends or anything, like I knew. I mean, you couldn't live in that town without knowing Ben. I mean, he was just that kind of a kid. Even back then, he was. I mean, just like a magnetic personality. So everybody knew Ben and felt like they were his best friend and everything. So my knowing him isn't unique, but we did. I mean, even back then, it was like, man, I bet he would make a great movie. Like there was just something about him that it was just like he's not only does he look different. It's not just that, even though that certainly that would play a part of it. But it's like just how he carries himself, how he is with like all these people around him that like, yeah, I mean, obviously like respect him and love him and all this. It's just like, why? What's going on there? So it took 30 years, and finally the opportunity came up to like do that idea.
Yeah.
And man, we could not have picked a better doc subject. I feel like it was a freaking home run.
Home run, and getting into your family life too as well, and having your significant other and your better half right here, right next to us in the background. It's you guys are both determined, and I got to give you kudos on that. Moving forward in a sense of talking about family and what went on, I'm gonna keep everybody kind of linked into that, but we're gonna hit that at the end with the family stuff. Okay. Still want to talk about it with Tanner. Tanner, going from, of course, the young age of what he was going through, and then going up to the top. Exciting moments of this documentary. Talk to us about an exciting moment on this documentary that people can look forward to.
Oh man, dude, there are so many, and that's one of the things I was looking for, and one of the things I loved about Ben's story was that it was a roller coaster ride. It wasn't just like, some cheesy feel good thing that he just like has one problem, he overcomes it or whatever, and it's all good. Man, he goes through it, and at the minute you think he's got it, and it's all figured out, and life's gonna be good, boom, something else happens, something even worse that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
I think that like especially one of the things that was just like incredible to me was that here's Ben, he's got these things he's been dealing with his whole life and has this goal of being an All-American, and the obstacle in his way ends up being Anthony Robles, who has his own challenges. He's also not a typical
Agreed.
wrestler, right?
Yes.
And like that the story goes to that that moment of them meeting, like you couldn't write that better in the script. If you did write it, people wouldn't believe
I
it.
agree.
Right?
I absolutely agree.
Make sure they don't make a better movie.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna happen, man. I don't think it's gonna unless you do it, man.
Yeah, all right. We'll be on the lookout.
No, that was a great inspiration, and then you understanding where you wanted to go and for what reasons, Ben, especially in a college situation. You know, you did your 3X. That's one thing that I have to give you kudos for too, because you manifested something that when you were younger. A lot of people don't understand manifestation until they get older. But you understood it at such a young age, and you knew right off the bat that you're going to get that 3X. So let's talk about the motivation in that, and then I want to go up to the UVU. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick, brother.
My parents came to me when I was a sophomore. I just won my first state title. And at Viewmont High School, where I was from, there'd never been a 3-time state champion. And my parents came to me, they was, we want to give you an early Christmas gift for a Letterman's jacket. I'm like, oh my gosh. They're like, you put patches all over it. Okay, you got one more spot. And I told my parents to put a 3XSC, which stands for 3-time state champion. Yeah. And my parents are like, what? They want to protect you, right? A lot of times. But my parents were incredible cuddlers, not toddlers. In this day and age, if you have resilience and a little bit of grit, you beat 95% of the people.
Yes.
Hands down, number one. And so they're like, let's freaking go. They didn't ask twice. That 3XSC got put on my jacket, only having won one state title. That's gutsy.
Yes.
So when I go and speak around the country, I always tell companies, what's your shot? And what shot are you calling? How are you choosing to stand out right now?
Yeah.
And then it's cute when you put it out there on your jacket. Now are you willing to be disobedient to average and outwork everyone and actually freaking do the work? Are you willing to put the blood, sweat, and tears in? Are you willing to freaking roll? And that's the question. Was I willing to roll?
Yeah.
Was I willing to, when I lost in the doc, you guys heard, when I lost, the night that I lost in region, thinking, was I going to wear that jacket the next day, getting made fun of? What was I going to do? I ran that night until I dry heaved 3 times. Midnight, running up the hills. I am driven by loss. I am driven. A lot of people are driven by winning. When I lose, I'm motivated. I hate losing.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I think when you call your shot, I met Conor McGregor a couple weeks ago, and he motivates me because he said, when you have the courage enough to speak it out and put it out there to other people that can hold you accountable, you work at a different level. And not just say it flippantly, but when you work at it, you inspire others to rise and say, well, if he can do it, dude, I'm willing to do it. And when you have that type of, and all you need on a team, all you need on an organization, all you need in a workplace is just 3 or 4 people that are willing to be called brown nosers, 3 or 4 people that are willing to be called, they're crazy, 3 or 4 people that are willing to buoy up, burn the freaking ships and saying, I'm staying here to fight. And there's only way to one go. We'll go, and that's going up. And when you have that type of courage and mentality in just a group of people, that carries an organization or a team, boom, dude, there's no limit.
So you were motivated by loss very young. It seemed like in the doc, like right after your first tournament or your first match, you were crying, you were bawling to your coach or your trainer, and really that was something that most kids your age would probably give up, And I think you had to have that grit in the beginning to be motivated young. So did you feel that right away? Was it something that just like hit you, or were you raised that way?
I think Crouzon syndrome changed me.
Yeah. You had to fight.
I had found something that had given me control of my life. I'd never had control over Crouzon syndrome, having a trach in my throat, cutting my head open from ear to ear, mouth wired shut, being told, just being made fun of. Yeah. And I wanted something that gave me courage and that proved other people wrong. Now, was that the right intention my whole life? Probably not. But it gave me a purpose and a passion that I will always remember, bro. Yeah. One thing that my parents did really well, hopefully you parents out there listen to this. My parents came to me and I told them, I asked them later, why did you put me in? You guys saw it in the doc, me singing and like
everything.
these suspenders, right?
Oh, bro, yeah.
Doing clogging. And I hated it, piano playing. But my parents told me, Ben, we knew you needed something. We knew you needed courage and confidence. And in a day of today, I don't care how you look. I don't care what clothes. I don't care what side of the train tracks you're on, race, color, weight, size.
Yep.
When you have confidence and you have a little bit of swagger, that's everything today.
Yeah, definitely. Without
That's
a doubt.
everything.
Yeah, I think you got it in high school too.
Yeah.
Proving to yourself, first off, that you can do things, and it's not proving to others. Others just come and they see what you do. And then they get motivated to do other things that they think that they can't do.
I'll tell you one thing. He's not just a good wrestler either. He's one hell of a speaker.
Yeah,
I've never ever heard anybody speak the way he does in front of a crowd. And I remember that day when we first met. What was that, 5 years ago?
Yeah.
I don't know. And there wasn't anything that could have gotten in the way coming up to you at the end of that speech and just being like, wow, man, you got something special.
Can I talk about that day real quick?
Yeah.
I wanted to mention this. I didn't know when it was going to come up. For those of you guys listening to this, please listen. If you listen to anything, listen to this. There's times that people are going to come into your life and they're going to speak truth into your soul. And you're going to have the choice to follow it. And you're going to know it's true. And you're going to have the choice to, I call it, wear your man diaper and move forward. Kyler, bro, you spoke truth into my soul that day, and I wish I would have followed 5 years ago. Let me tell you this. I just got done speaking. I didn't know Kyler. Kyler gets up, and in the middle of his speech, I'm sitting there listening to him because he's just powerful and he's just magnetic, and I just wanted to be there. And you came up to me in the hall. I'm like, this guy's rad. And I sat there speaking. And this is how intentional you were, Kyler, and I'll never forget it, bro. 5 years ago, you stopped in the middle of your speech and you looked at me and you said, Ben, I don't know what you're doing in life, but it basically told me it's not what you're meant to do.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
No, bro, it was incredible. And you're like, you're meant to be on these stages more. You're meant to shine your light. You're meant to stand out. You're meant to do things that God has like gifted you to do. And I wasn't, bro. And you like pointed in my heart and my soul in that moment. And from that, I went home. I told my wife, I'm like, I got poured into today, Mom. I got poured in today in a different level. And I feel like I know more what I need to do. And from that day forward, I started doing something different. There's going to be people in your life, like Kyler was for me 5 years ago, that are going to pour into you. And it could be a life-changing moment. And like the fact that I'm here today and you invited me to come and meet incredible people, bro, like, look at where we're at 5 years later. Because of moments like that.
Same.
That was a standout moment for me.
It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
It's super cool.
Relationships that are built. That's what it's all about. 5 years ago, did you start speaking, or was it something that you decided to just kind of roll into? Like, what was the?
Yeah, it was. I think influencing has a negative connotation sometimes nowadays.
Yeah,
because everyone says they're an influencer, right? But there's a few people that actually have a lasting influence, I believe, like that are actually doing what they're saying, doing what they're preaching, doing what they're teaching.
Integrity driven.
Bingo.
Yeah.
It's intention. What's the true intention behind this?
Great.
And in moments like that, I decided that there was an inside fire that God had gifted me with, and I was shutting it out. Biblically speaking, bro, I was hiding behind the bushel. I wasn't shining my light, and I was dimming and pushing it away. And everybody here knows what I'm talking about. And right now, as I say it, these guys are like pushing their light away. They're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Don't speak to me.
Yeah.
But dude, it's that light inside of me that he noticed, and he spoke. He's like, bro, I see it. Freaking live it. Yeah. And it's moments like that, the people that believe in you, like way before you believe in you, that makes the difference. Tanner poured into me doing that same thing. And when enough people come up to you, you get to answer the freaking call. And now more than ever, the world, it's such a beautiful place. But people don't see the beauty because there's so much smoke. Mm-hmm. And when there's beautiful moments like that are standout moments that pull you through that smoke, and they say, no, you're meant to freaking shine. You're meant to freaking live. Like, let's go. And that's what he did, dude. He said, here's my number. Call me. And I know how busy you are, man. I know how busy you are today to make this time and make this space for me that, like, I just can't tell you how grateful I am. For real.
You're welcome.
We're all grateful for you, buddy. You've done a lot.
For the last 5 years, I've wanted to connect more for sure with you. It's just like time, like kids, family, moves, business, everything. It just gets in the way.
Life.
I think it definitely gets in the way of our relationship. I think
it's never too late, though.
Never, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. I think it sparked up the interest being here too, as well. You know, and for us to all hang. You know, I feel like this is a good group of people, including wife over here too as well. We're gonna keep going. I want come on in here real quick. I want yeah, come on, girl. I want to let's see the better half here, because I want to talk to you real quick. You know, this is all about our show. This is spur of the moment type stuff. Spur of the moment. Talk. Yes. Okay. So here's what I want. Thanks, Kyler. Talk to us about what you guys have gone through together. You guys have been together for a while. I want to know about the family dynamic here, and if you don't mind, can you just give us a brief synopsis of some challenges also that you've gone through too as well? And I know you love this guy to death. I saw it on the documentary. I see it in your eyes. You guys are absolutely in love with each other. And congratulations on your family too as well, and for what you guys have gone through together. But I want to hear from the woman's side. So let's talk about it real quick, if you don't mind.
Tanner knows how much I hate interviews.
Yeah.
But I can talk about Ben all day, so
love it.
Easy. We've been married for 16 years, so we've been through a lot together. He's always been a light for me, though, and he is the best husband and the best father that you could even dare to dream to have. So I'm a very lucky woman. I'm lucky to be sitting here today. So, it's been a really good ride. Like, it's really humbling. It's really humbling to be here and to I just wake up all the time and look at who I'm sleeping next to. I'm like, I am just so lucky. I'm so lucky. But
awesome.
We've been through a lot. So we've tried to have kids for 8-10 years into our marriage. We'd been married for 10 years and still no kids were coming. And so we did IVF. We did a lot of doctor visits. We had 300 plus doctor visits, just trying to figure out what we can do to accelerate that road. But we ended up going down the adoption route, and we had failed adoptions. We had a couple of miscarriages, and finally we were just kind of pushed into the adoption route, which was the most amazing, sacred thing. That adoption to me is just the most sacred thing on earth. It's really a special thing. And we were just led to these beautiful 3 little babies that we're just so grateful to have. So
I watch the documentary. That's all I'm going to say. Watch the documentary to get a little bit more insight on it, because it's lovely how the Spirit and God was in your life, and timing was impeccable too as well. Patience was incredible for you guys. Tenacious patience. That's agreed on that. So kudos to your patience, and then knowing how beautiful your family is now. It's great, yeah, and congratulations to the both of you. Thank you for being on the spot, girl. I appreciate you guys. You could jump up, Viv. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, doll. Appreciate it. We had to get her on that better half, Ben. We had to get her on, man. Amen.
So don't mind me asking this question. When is this thing? When are we going to be able to watch this? When's the world going to be able to see this? This is
dynamic,
so inspiring. It has to be seen.
Right.
What's the plan?
That's a good question, and I mean, because we believe in the film so much, because we feel like it can impact the world, we want to make sure we do it right. We're trying to make sure that we do distribution in the right way, so that the most people that need it can see it and be impacted by it. We're early in our festival run. We just had our world premiere 2 days ago. It was an incredible experience. Just amazing people coming out and great feedback. The hope is, we plan to, after a festival run, we will do a theatrical release. The particulars of it are still not figured out, but we're working on it, and then it'll of course go to streaming and DVD and all those normal things that films do. So anyway, we're just looking forward to an incredible ride this year, trying to get this movie out to everybody.
And to touch on that real quick, Kyler went to go see your documentary at the premiere, and I think you called me on the way back from LA, and you were like, dude, you got to see this, number one, and you got to talk to Ben and Tanner. And he's like, I've been crying on the way home. Like, you were like so touched by it right away.
Sent me that too.
It was amazing to hear. Like, it was not, blowing smoke or anything. It was truly something that he felt, and it was great to hear that in his voice. So that was kind of what I noticed right away.
That's awesome. Love to hear that. Yeah. We had an incredible experience there at the premiere. I mean, like standing ovations and people, crying. I was a little bit out of it because I was trying to keep my 5-year-old daughter from disturbing everybody the entire time, but still, man, we had such a great time.
I didn't bring my kids. However, my kids did watch the documentary. They watched every minute, and they're 8 years old and 5 years old.
Stimulated.
Watched the whole thing. It was very engaging. I mean, it's
I think that's a test of time. Like if you can get youth away from iPads or away from anything that's just click, instantaneous pleasure. Yeah. Exactly. If you can do that, then that's a worthy performance. Let me tell you something that Tanner won't tell you. Tanner's garnered, he is literally one of the best in the world at what he does, and he hasn't been given that attention because he's not stepped out on his own. This is his first time directing ever. Amazing. But he's worked hand in hand with a guy named Jared Hess, who is now coming out with Minecraft with Jason Momoa, Jack Black. He just worked on a project about American Gladiators and sold at Netflix and yada, yada, yada. I mean, Jared Hess, you know him by Napoleon Dynamite, Jack Black and Nacho Libre. So much that Jared Hess saw this partway through production, and he says, how can I be involved? And because of the film and how much he loves Tanner and has trust in him, he's come on as a producer.
Yeah.
So just to have people like that have confidence in what we're doing. He's working on films that right now are $200 million budgets. We're just not that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so to have him come on board and say, I want to be on this ride with you guys. Yeah. That's exciting. That's exciting to see.
Welcome to the rest of your life.
Yeah.
This is the beginning.
Yeah, I hope so. Otherwise, I don't want to have to go get a job at Home Depot or something.
Maybe a second job would be okay, right?
Yeah.
No, you'll be good.
Really hoping this works out. So,
Bro, Kyler's speaking to you like you spoke to me right now.
Yeah.
He's like,
hey.
welcome, brother.
It's gonna work out. This is way too good to not.
It
work
is.
out.
It's
I
undeniable.
know when something's right. I'm telling you, man, this is good.
Well, thank you.
It was an up and down tearjerker for sure. You guys put it together marvelously.
Well, the editing too, like you
It
were
was-
saying, you know, it's like my attention span's like an 8-year-old, and I wasn't born.
Me
at
I was
all.
going to say for attention spans for adults too.
We have not been paid to say any of this, by the way.
Yeah, we haven't.
No,
That's right.
no sponsored paid on that one.
Excited for you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Now I want to get back into Ben with the university situation, okay? Because that was an exciting experience to actually see, and what you felt over at a certain place that you felt comfortable at. You've had great opportunities, of course, throughout your time span with high school wrestling and your accomplishments, and then going into college, you had some options of colleges that you wanted to go to. Of course, something that interfered a little bit. You had to take a little hiatus off, but you came back even stronger. And so I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about the decision that you made too, because I know the love of the sport and the understanding of it and knowing how good you really were. And nobody could take that away from you, not even another competitor. But you seeing other competitors going in spots that you should have been at. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Sometimes when you feel like everything on paper, it's just like the right move, it just isn't. That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard when
doubt.
when you're doing pros and cons against two different things, and the pros are way outweighing the pros on this side. That's a life movement. I call it God placement. When you feel like you're going in a way that God just places you, and you're like, please not be right,
Yeah.
but you take that step anyway.
Absolutely.
And I always point it like in the Indiana Jones when he's gonna go get the goblet, right? And there he's crossing this huge canyon, and he knows he has to take this step. He doesn't know why it's in that direction, but he does this anyway. People call it a step of faith or whatever. And you take the step because your heart tells you to do it. My mind is usually telling me the pro.
Yeah.
Against the con, and then when your heart tells you no, that's not the right way, it usually meets in the throat somewhere. And you have this fight.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, man, it's the heart, it's the instinct that I chose to follow in that moment. Leave Oklahoma, which we took third in the country. I was filling in for a guy who ended up being an Olympian later on. But I went to the place that God told me to go, and I met my wife. And that's the biggest gift. There's no medal, there's no award, there's no world championship, there's no All-American status that will ever outweigh the award that my wife gives me every day. And that's pure and true love, man.
Did you meet her in the Hall of Flags, or where'd you meet us?
Dude, she was checking me out, looking at my freaking booty. And she like,
I used to sit in the Hall.
You
of
see that
Flags
kind of
every
singlet?
day and look for my wife. And just wonder where you met her.
serious. No, she has an identical twin sister, and it was so funny because my heavyweight on my team introduced me to the twin sister. And my buddy, who is an Abercrombie & Fitch model, his name's Sam. We called him Sam Abercrombie. Got connected with her. I'm so glad he didn't go on a date with her, because that would have been a hard thing. That would have been a hard.
For sure. Yeah.
It was good.
I look back, and because we didn't know each other, I remember seeing your face all over the place, man. It was, I can remember his face all over the banners and stuff.
We went to the same college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I saw the Arizona match, and that was of course before we even talked or met or anything like that. A long time ago, a friend of mine sent it to me, and it was such an inspiration. And I just remembered it last night when I was watching it. Yeah, it was incredible, and it definitely inspired. Like Tanner talked about, you know, you have two guys that are battling challenges and going into a battle of just I would say courage, discovery, and only one can come out victorious. But you both came out victorious that day, and that's what I noticed the most out of it, and especially the crowd. Crowd was on both your sides. I mean, no matter how it went, it was an absolute amazing experience to watch it and to watch it again. Kudos to the both of you, of course, for inspiring everybody else too. Going in to this and going into social media and having a platform and understanding what you can say to people or what people say to us. I think that there's two different ways. There's two different ways of taking that also. I know that Kyler, of course, is on social media as well. Jason, myself. There's discouragements, but then there's also a way of producing something to where it can help out the community and a lot of others too that are going through stuff. So that's what I want to talk about now. I want to talk about how you broke free of a lot of the constructive criticism that was going on social media and how you came into a positive note and understanding about yourself and to know those answers. Because a lot of people don't. They come out and they do negative. And a negative, as we know, it just doesn't work. So if we can revert something from a negative to a positive influence for somebody that's going through something, that's amazing. So let's briefly talk about that. And what was in your mind going on for the first initial or the second initial or the third initial response of what was happening at that time? Because that's discouraging.
Yeah.
And if we can't get through that as a powerful person, then we're going to struggle. So I want to talk about that because that made you more powerful, brother. So let's briefly
Thanks
talk
for saying that.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I said I didn't get angry.
Yeah.
I think it's normal. A lot of people can just paint the picture that's real rosy. Dude, it's ugly in the sense that you doubt, you're angry, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth comes real.
Yes.
Like, you're like, dude, you punch, I'm going to punch you back. And by the way, all the followers, all the commenters are going to agree with me. So it's my right to fight back.
Yes.
I also grew up being a believer in Jesus. And there's people that believe, and then there's people that actually do. And I believed a lot of my life, but I was like, man, that's a cute story. and then once I really dissected who the man Jesus is, I noticed how he reacted, how big of a savage. I mean, he was killed because he was a freaking renegade. He was a savage. He was absolutely disobedient to average. And so I'm like, all right, well, if we're gonna talk about like be like Jesus, how do you do that? So when he came out of the Garden of Gethsemane, gave blood from every pore of his body, and his 11 homies fell asleep on the job, and the other homie had went to go sell him. If that's not the darkest of times, if that's not your friends and family completely like betraying you, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So let's study that moment. How does he react? And then that's how I came back to how should I react? This is how he reacted. He comes out, his homies wake up on the job. Oh, yeah, I should wake up. Oh, who is this guy that's coming to sell me for the same amount of coin that slaves were sold for? And the 11 other dudes are like, what are you doing, man? Why would you do this? The exchange happens. He kisses the man Jesus. And what happens with one of the main dudes? He comes and says, oh, yeah, not on my watch. Whack. Cuts the ear off of one of the main soldiers. This is the test of time. How do you react to bullies? Jesus could have wiped them all out with the swipe of a hand. Or, Jesus, man, if I were him, I would have probably been like, take the other ear off, let's go, right?
Yeah.
But in turn, he picks up the ear and he heals the man that he knows is about to kill him. What do you think that soldier thought? Now, this is the reaction to the comments that you guys saw in the documentary.
Yeah.
Think about what that soldier would have said going home that night to his wife. How did work go today, honey? I think we got the wrong guy.
Oh yeah.
This dude
Healed me.
that we just put to death was not the guy we should have got. And then the most savage thing is the next thing. He gets captured. He goes in front of the kings of the area, and this is where we get it wrong. This is where we miss out. We are afraid now today in such a padded society to think that our I am statements have to be polite. That is the biggest BS in the world. This is why. The man Jesus, supposedly, is supposed to be the most perfect man, whether you believe it or not, killer fairy tale if it isn't true. If he is the man that he says he is, he looked at himself in the mirror and said, what? I am King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Redeemer, great I am, beginning and end, water of life. Goes on. This is how gangster he is, and this is what changed my life. I looked at him, and I read about this guy, and in the midst of his life being on the line, the king comes up to him and says, everyone says you're this and this, but I am going to give you one last chance. Who do you say you are? And with blood coming down his face, I can just imagine him being strapped up, having no defense, homeless. He looks up in the king of his area and looks him in the eye and literally says, in the last moment to redeem himself, he says, I am the King of Kings. I am the Lord of Lords. And that taught me this. I can't look at myself in the mirror and say normal stuff. I've got to look at I deserve to look at myself in the mirror and say earth-shattering stuff. Here's what happens today. When I look at myself in the mirror, I feel like it's arrogant. I feel like it's cocky. I feel like it's prideful. That's where you're absolutely wrong. If we have any idea why we're here, if we have any idea why we're born to stand out, if we have any idea the renegades that we're meant to be against being disobedient to average, our I am statements change, bro. I am statements are the King of Kings. Our I am statements are, I am disobedient to average. I am born to stand out. I'm here to fight for light. I am here to make a difference. And when you have that type of energy and command over who you know you are, and then you're willing to actually do the work, bro, freaking watch out.
Yeah, it's affirmation for sure. You know what we
Well, you saw that like when you were in junior high, when you were in high school, you felt. I mean, in the documentary, I felt that the belief you had in yourself and the perspective that you had about yourself, you created this dynamic with people you were around that believed in you, and you changed the perspective just by belief. And I think you had that very early. At least that's what it felt like in the documentary. Everywhere you went, it was a new challenge and a new group of people, and you always changed their minds.
You're contagious, bro.
Well, that's the key, though.
Yeah,
that's the key. It's
man.
cute when the intention is just about you. Of course, it has to start there.
Yeah.
The cliche of put the air on you first. If you're doing Mayday in an airplane, right, to be able to help others, that has to come first.
Yeah.
It's not selfishness. It's self-mastery. We don't stop dreaming because we're parents. We teach our kids by doing. Here's the thing. If it stops at just being belief in you, that's cute.
Yeah.
There's no legacy there. But it's when it's contagious and when other people start believing in themselves because of you, oh, man.
It's like
That's
believing in you for a bigger
doubt.
purpose, you know? I say that to my wife all the time. Like, the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, it might seem selfish in some ways, but I'm doing it for my children. I'm doing it for her. You know, you do things for yourself to help others and to inspire others like you do, you know?
So I spoke the other day on a rad stage. I Am Cowboy. James Lawrence, he's a stud. And there's a guy, and this is going to hit home for people out there who are married, and you're going to see why. Many times there's a guy who made a comment, and he's like, yeah, I've been married 5 years. I'm in the worst shape of my life. I just wanted to go out and just make something of myself. And I don't think he was ready for my answer. I'm like, bro, I don't know you, so don't take this
the wrong way.
personal. But let me just say you should stop cheating on your wife.
Yeah.
And he like, it's like in front of everyone. He's like, poor dude, like has never like done that, but he didn't understand what I said. I said, bro, I know you're not sleeping with other women, but what gave you the right that when you got the ring on your hand that you stopped taking care of yourself?
That's a good point.
What gave you the right that just because you locked her up in marriage, you don't do fitness anymore? What gave you the right that makes you think that your spirituality doesn't need to be what you need to be because you attract? What gave you the right that you're not fun to be around anymore? What gave you the right that you stopped dreaming? And he's like, it hit him different.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
very true.
I got to go home to my wife and talk to her about it.
I know,
I mean,
trust
and
me,
it's
I do it every day.
This is great.
I think sometimes it's hard to see that perspective, you know, for
Completely.
yourself. You're like,
Yeah.
you know, you feel like you're at home more, you're not going to the gym, you're not doing things because you're spending more time. But it's like, listen, at the end of the day, you want to be healthy, you want to be happy around your kids, you want to show them a good example, and then all of that matters.
Yeah.
You know? And I think you're 100% right there.
Well, at the end of the day, dude, our kids don't know what reality is.
Until you show them.
They see reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so how you eat, how you live, how you do work, how you do things that are boring in today's, like I make it a goal. I heard a mentor tell me, hey, Ben, when you have a 5-minute visit to the bank, never go alone. Grab your kid and go with him. I took my kid the other day.
Yeah.
Went to the bank,
Yeah.
sign docs, do some other stuff. And my boy's like, with his suckers in his hands, right? Yeah. He's like, this is boring. I said, perfect. Sometimes we do boring stuff and we do it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. We get to hang out.
It's
We
tenacious.
get to hang out together doing boring stuff.
Yeah. We make it happen.
I have 4 kids myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I absolutely love it. I've been married 22 years. It's just been great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and like I said, we always have our better halves at home that take care of the initial stuff that we don't when we're not around. But to be around and be present as much as possible in our personal life flows into our businesses as well. So I think we can understand that, all of us, with knowing that happiness is fulfilled through a personal life and through your significant other and your family and what you get out of it, which you got out of it so much with your siblings. I mean, that was a huge deal for you. Walk us through real quick about your siblings. And the ages and the age brackets from the
Dude, I'm
smallest
one
to
of
those.
7 kids,
That's
and
great.
I'm right in the middle, and we're all gapped out about 2 years each, and so I'm 41. We're all adults and have our own kids, and we're doing our best to be the best parents and influences in our own family as possible, and nobody stands out alone. Nobody stands out alone. I can't even tell you how many people showed up and was staying together in an Airbnb the last few days. And I've learned one thing that's changed my life and my relationships and my friendships is when you can learn to cheerlead others and be, I call it fanboying. If you can fanboy on somebody else and cheer them on, and absolutely with the intention of genuine pouring into them, and not like, oh, they're getting more attention than me, or oh man, and have an ego about it, your relationships take it to another level. Cheering people on and buoying them up, man, they do that. Everyone was there cheering me on, going away from their life and their business just to be a part of my dreams. It meant the world.
The support system is huge. Is immediate to outside immediate family.
Absolutely.
It's a big deal. And I think we all have acquaintances out there, but we also have good, solid friends that we can probably count in one hand if we're lucky.
Yep.
And we got to keep them close as possible. The intentions and the focus and the drive and the commitments. What are you doing now?
I have the opportunity to do what Kyler called me to do a long time ago, and I should have listened quicker.
Wasn't timing 5 years ago, brother. It's timing
wasn't.
now.
It is, and
I
it is
think
the
that's
right
beauty
timing.
of it. Yes.
And Tana's in a fantastic job to give me a really cool stage. Normally people are handing out pamphlets or books. We have a freaking awesome documentary. And it was
Hands
done
down,
by a
man.
genius, and complete props to him for taking 2 years of his life to put together my life on this documentary. And so I'm speaking to stages all over the world, man. And it's really cool when you get paid some good money to stand on a stage, and when you get off, you feel like that's exactly where God wanted you to be.
Yeah.
That's a really rad situation.
Changing lives.
Changing
Yeah.
lives.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's
Well,
amazing.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure, man.
Brother. It was an absolute pleasure. It's such an inspiring scenario that you and your wife have gone through, both of you, from when you were a youngster to when you met her in college, and for what reasons, why you went to that college, with that whole delay of the 2 years or whatever you went through. It was because of that situation,
meant to be.
and it was just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
Briefly talking about your kids. How old are your kids now?
6, and almost 5.
And I just loved what you guys did for the family.
Yeah.
The surprises,
Oh,
that
man.
was amazing.
That was just absolutely amazing.
It's so good.
Who was the person that put the kids at the door? Was it?
Yeah, we just had a big bird drop them
There's
off.
a big old stork man just coming in, huh? I mean, that was so amazing how you guys did that, and just the situation of how puzzle pieces get put together at certain times, and to have, a adoption of the brothers was just so neat. And so I can't say enough about it. I just can't wait for this documentary to open up and to expel through everybody. But yeah, it's very inspiring, and just it really has God in your life. You could just really feel that, and you could feel just a great spirit from the both of you. And you got a bright, shining light on you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. And it's just gonna keep getting brighter and keep shining hard. And
God's good,
We
man.
all
God's good.
appreciate it so much. Thank you for being here at the Balance Blueprint. If you guys have any questions, of course, go to the Balance Blueprint. You can go see Ben Kjar also on his Instagram. Care is the #1 keyword on this guy. And man, you were born to care.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and
man.
if you guys want to follow the film, standoutfilm.com, and then we'll be putting out there like when it's going to be coming out and all that.
That's great, and we can't wait.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, guys.
God bless you
Thank you.
guys.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah.